So this is an access to personal information procedure policies, an internal policy that a company will use if you get an information access request from a customer for personal information. So this is where a customer or an employee seeks access to review their own personal information, which they have a right to under the privacy legislation. So you want to make, a person will make an access request by completing the access to personal information form which you provide to them. So initially what will happen is an individual will make a request by your privacy@company.com email address, for example, and then you'll supply them with this form to verify who they are. You can, say, you can make it just by email only. You want to make, you want to make sure that it's not received until, you've acknowledged that message, because that's when your timeline runs to respond to that request, which is typically 30 days. So once you get that request, you need to confirm or verify that applicant's identity, and then you will assess whether or not there's enough detail to allow that information to be found, right? So typically what you want to do here as a practical matter is obtain as much information you can from the applicant, from the requester, to narrow down the search. So there's a number of outcomes in relation to fulfilling an access request based on the information. Once you've determined, that it's a legitimate request, you can decline if there is a reason to do so that you can find within the legislation, and you've got to record the reasons for that. Then I'll provide that with a reason for that. And if there are cases where it involves somebody else's information, you can review that, redact the information, for example, and then provide the requester with their own information. Right? If the company disagrees with your assessment, then you should provide them with the objection as well as the process of appeal. So assuming that access is permitted, what will happen is the access administrator, with approval from the privacy officer, will provide the access, typically in writing. So if there's a situation where the information sought is not under the custody of the access administrator, but has been identified under your control, you can locate the holder of the information being sought and inform the holder that the request for access has been made and request a copy of that information. You can charge a nominal fee for access requests, but it has to be reasonable in relation to the search. As I've mentioned, you typically have 30 days. It's more in Alberta, 45, but imagine you have 30 days to turn around the access request. Otherwise, it's regarded as a deemed refusal, and the requester can appeal to the Privacy Commission on that basis. Here in Appendix A, you can see a sample access to personal information form. This is the document you'll send to the requester, providing granting you more information on what information is being sought and why, as well as you can also request copies of identification, scanned copies, for example. And that's it. You can modify this access to personal information procedure policy as required.